another in jail after a shooting in West Point. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Scott Martin. The shooting happened just before 6 o'clock at Marshall Park, just off of College Street. A witness at the scene says that a truck rammed a gold-colored car, then fired shots into that car. We're told 2 people were in that car at the time of the shooting. Late this evening, the suspected shooter turned himself in to West Point police. The condition of the victim is unknown at this time. $10 million, that's the bond set for a Verona teenager charged with murder. Our Allie Martin was at the suspect's court appearance and has more on what led to the high bond amount.
Latavius Betts was escorted into Lee County Justice Court, shackled and cuffed for his initial appearance. Betts was arrested Friday evening at a home on North Green Street in Tupelo, 7 days after authorities say he was the trigger man in a drive-by shooting in Palmetto. 66-year-old Annie Walton was killed, and several others were injured in what authorities and the victim's family say was a drug-related shooting.
But I can assure you we've got the right shooter.
During the brief initial appearance, Lee County Sheriff Jim Johnson told Judge Chuck Hopkins that Betts was also the suspect in a fatal drive-by shooting last April in Verona. In that case, Betts was released by the Verona police on a signature bond. The teen is also charged with another shooting this past summer and was out of jail on a $50,000 bond in that case. After hearing the charges and deeming him a menace to society, Judge Hopkins set a $10 million bond for Betts.
Shy of the court intervening and doing something that's completely out of character, there's no way this guy's going to get out.
In fact, paperwork has been filed with District Attorney John Weddle to hold Betts without bond on charges filed by the Lee County Sheriff's Department. Sheriff Johnson says Betts may be 17, but the charges he's facing allow the courts to view him as an adult.
I realize and I sympathize with the general public of him being a 17-year-old, but he's a danger. He's a threat to this community. I don't look at him as a 17-year-old child. I look at him as an individual that's committed 2 murders in our county. The
grand jury will hear Betts' case in March. In Tupelo, Allie Martin, WCBI News.
The U.S. Marshals Service, along with the Tupelo Police, assisted in the arrest of Betts. Sheriff Johnson says that more arrests are possible in the case. A 3-vehicle crash in East Columbus sends at least 2 people to the hospital. Just after 6:30, a sedan, a minivan, and pickup, all traveling south on Lemberg Road, collided near Bullets on Alabama Street. A WCBI viewer shared this video. At least 2 people were told were taken to the hospital with moderate to serious injuries. They have unconfirmed reports of a 3rd victim. Columbus police are investigating the cause of that crash. Well, time now to get a first look at our Monday forecast with Chief Meteorologist Keith Gibson. Hey, Keith.
Hey, Scott, as expected, fog redeveloping. Look at this, a live view in downtown Columbus. The fog taking over downtown Columbus right now. Temperatures are cooling on down into the 30s in many spots. We still have some of that lingering moisture. It is being condensed out in the form of fog and reduced visibility across parts of our region. Not so much in Tupelo, but in the Golden Triangle area, yes, and other locations too. So it's a chilly Monday evening. Watch out for this fog to continue tonight into tomorrow morning. Low beams, drive slowly, add a couple of minutes to the morning commute. Now we should get rid of the clouds and the fog tomorrow. Assuming we do that, upper 50s to low 60s. Full forecast is coming up.
All right, thanks, Keith. Well, the holiday season is here, and 8 days till Christmas, by the way. Christmas carolers and Santa Claus, they won't be the only ones out this year. The Mississippi Highway Patrol is hitting the holiday road for the lookout for those who decide to drink and drive. Our Quentin Smith, he speaks with law enforcement about this increased presence, and Quentin, troopers say they're hoping to reduce the number of drunk drivers this holiday season.
Yeah, that's right, Scott, because as we all know, getting a ticket for a DUI can definitely mess up someone's Christmas plans. MHP says they want everyone to have fun this holiday season, but they also want everyone to be safe and make smart decisions.
If you decide to drink and drive this holiday season, instead of hearing sleigh bells ringing, you may be hearing this. And seeing this sight in your rearview mirror.
People tend to have want to have a good time during the holiday season, but where they make the mistake is when they decide to drink and drive, and then that's where they're jeopardizing their safety and the safety of others.
Mississippi Highway Patrol Sergeant Derek Beckham says they'll be stepping up their manpower in the upcoming weeks to catch those who do decide to get behind the wheel intoxicated.
With DUIs, someone's been drinking and driving. They're indicators, that we look for. Maybe the color, bloodshot eyes, or the smell of the intoxicating beverage is the biggest giveaway right there. We're trained to know what that smell is like, no matter what you do to try to cover it up.
Whenever someone gets pulled over for a DUI, Beckham says they'll ask the driver to take a breathalyzer test to determine their blood alcohol level. However, the driver does have the right to refuse the breathalyzer, but doing so will result in an automatic trip down to the jailhouse.
Well, at that time, if you refuse that, then I don't know how much beverage or alcoholic beverage you may have consumed, and I don't know what your levels of intoxication may be. So at that time, I'm going to detain you and take you to the jail and offer you the test again at the jail.
If the person refuses to take the test again at the jailhouse, they will then be charged with DUI refusal, which is a misdemeanor, and they can lose their driver's license for 90 days or longer.
My advice would be pretty much always blowing the machine these days, as opposed to before the law changed, not blowing the machine.
David Owen has been a practicing attorney for more than 3 decades and says when it comes to driving under the influence, it always comes with a price to pay. Whether that price is spending time behind bars, a damaged vehicle, or just paying court fees.
DUIs make your insurance premiums skyrocket. You have to lose your license for a certain number of days. You have to go to MASEP, Mississippi Alcohol Safety Education Program, victim impact panels. It's expensive.
Now, DUI first and second are misdemeanors. However, a third DUI is a felony. The blood alcohol content for those under 21 years old is 0.02, and for those 21 years or older, the level is 0.08. Scott?
All right, thanks very much, Quentin. Well, the Columbus Convention and Visitors Bureau has a spending plan if lawmakers approve a 2% restaurant tax this legislative session. The CVB and Lowndes County supervisors approved a resolution giving for events that is held in the city limits $15,000 apiece. The county would receive $30,000 for festivals or events that supervisors vote to fund. Those events would be held in the county. The Columbus City Council will vote on the measure tomorrow. The plan hinges on state lawmakers passing a new 2% restaurant tax. The measure died in committee in the last legislative session. Well, tonight we're following up on a story that we've covered extensively in 2018. The complaints have been similar in all corners of the state this year as more bridges were forced to close. Residents adding to their commute times and worried about how that could impact their safety in an emergency. Courtney Ann Jackson has the very latest on the money to rehab some of those bridges.
So how common are these bridge closures as we approach 2019? Here's what I've learned. The total of closed bridges in the state is up to 512. More than 1,700 are posted, meaning they have set weight limits for cars and trucks that plan to drive over them. But what about that money that was earmarked by lawmakers during the August special session? Well, the deadline for cities and counties to submit their applications to the advisory committee was midnight Friday. So it will be a while before that money makes it to the communities waiting for repairs.
This bridge on Raymond Road is finally getting some attention after months of being closed. Folks who live nearby tell me they've had a twofold concern. One, the inconvenience of it all, as you might imagine, and two, if anyone would be able to get to them quickly in case of an emergency.
The 3-minute drive ended up being about 17 to 20 minutes, and therefore a lot of us are late for work, late for school, and late for a lot of things that we're not supposed to be late for because we were like right around the corner.
But the safety fears are just as important.
The people are unaware that this road is closed, and if you're speeding at night and going through this bridge, you're going to die.
She has elderly neighbors, and the thought has crossed her mind about whether those emergency vehicles would also have a longer trip to their homes.
And this is just not a safe environment. This is a one-way in and a one-way out, and people did not pay for this. They paid for their taxes, and this bridge needs to be fixed today.
While many lawmakers don't feel this year's plan went far enough, they don't expect to have another bridge funding bill this session.
All right, we have some fog developing across parts of the area, Columbus specifically right now, but other locations remaining with some good visibility. That's our Alpha Insurance Camera Network. Your full forecast is next.
Your WCBI First Alert AccuWeather forecast with Chief Meteorologist Keith Gibson.
I hope you saw that fiery sunset we had earlier this evening. Look at that, the sky ablaze across many spots here today. And over Enville, Mississippi above, with the drone, you can see the setting sun with the incoming higher clouds. Thanks a lot to Jake for that great photo right there. Now, do be aware, we do have some dense fog developing right now in parts of our area, and that will be a concern as we go throughout the course of the night into tomorrow morning. That's a live view from downtown Columbus. Some of you have no fog. Other spots are socked in with some fog this evening. We're cooling temperatures down into the 30s, getting close to that dew point, so the air saturates, produces the fog, and that's where we will be tonight and tomorrow morning. So just be aware, you may have to add a few extra minutes to the morning commute. Upper 50s, low 60s in the afternoon, assuming we get rid of those clouds and the fog. But we should be able to do that. I'm hopeful anyway. Today it was a tough going to get rid of that fog and the low clouds in the Columbus area, but let's just hope for more in the way of breaks as time goes on. But it all depends on how much fog we see develop later tonight and tomorrow morning. Here's our temperature trend. Around 60 if we're lucky tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday too, and then we fall off a cliff for our Friday. An incoming storm system, and this thing is really going to buckle the jet stream right there, and we are looking at a pretty good storm system coming our way that could give us some rain. Excuse me. Man, it's always fitting to get choked up as soon as that red light of the camera comes on. So we have some rain chances coming our way Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and some wet snowflakes could actually mix on into the picture here Friday morning. Not totally out of the realm of possibilities. Just a few scattered clouds moving overhead right now, and that low cloudiness and the fog developing. But overall, our Tuesday should be relatively tame. More clouds build in during the day Wednesday, and by Wednesday afternoon and evening, look at the rain that starts to move on in. And that system will get going a little bit more so Thursday into Thursday night and Friday morning. Friday morning right here, we may see some wet snowflakes try to mix on in on the back side of that system. At this point, we don't envision any major problems around here with temperatures staying above freezing. The wind will pick up. We'll see some nasty conditions here, and things will improve, though, as we get into your weekend for that last-second Christmas shopping. Scott?
Well, Santa made another appearance tonight. This time it was in Maben for the Christmas parade. Residents lined the town square to get a look at police cars, fire trucks, four-wheelers, and floats, and jolly old St. Nick himself. Those in the festival were definitely in the Christmas spirit as they waved and threw out candy to the crowd. Hail State Hoops heads to the Pacific Northwest. The Bulldogs and Ducks. Tom has a preview coming up later in sports. Welcome back, everyone. For most, the holidays are a happy time, but that's not always the case for everyone. We look at what has some feeling the holiday blues in tonight's Health Talk with Baptist.
I'm Chaplain Steve Brown, Director of Spiritual Care here at Baptist Memorial Hospital, Golden Triangle. As we approach the holiday season, everyone is looking forward to a joyous time around the table with family and friends. 'Tis the season to be jolly, right? Maybe not. For some of us at different times in our lives, the holidays are not about being happy at all. The holidays may bring on very real and sometimes intense feelings of sadness, loneliness, anxiety, and depression. There may be many reasons for these feelings. The pressure to feel merry, the difference between how we actually feel and what we think we should be feeling can cause guilt and confusion. Remembrances of past holidays. Consciously or unconsciously, we have a mental record of past holidays. We may long for the happy holidays we once enjoyed. Reminders of loved ones we have lost. Holidays are a time for reflection, and our thoughts often turn to beloved family members who have passed away. Loneliness. Separation from family members, whether geographical or emotional, can be especially painful at this time of year. Financial hardship. If our finances are limited, we may be tempted to dig a deeper hole with credit card debt. Sunlight deprivation. In winter, many people are negatively impacted by the relative loss of sunlight. Seasonal affective disorder, or SAD, may exacerbate our blue feelings. Join us next time for Health Talk with Baptist, when we will discuss how to overcome the holiday blues.
Mail your topic suggestions to healthtalk@wcbi.com. Health Talk has been brought to you by Baptist Memorial Hospital Golden Triangle.
Mississippi versus Alabama. All the bragging rights up for grabs. All the highlights of the 2018 All-Star Game next in sports.
WCBI Sports with Tom Ebel.
The final football game of the 2018 high school football season. The Mississippi-Alabama All-Star Game going down in Montgomery. The Mississippi team looking for back-to-back wins. Tons of area talent representing the SIP in the All-Star Game tonight, down 7-0. One of those area guys, Jaleel Clemens, falls on the fumble after a devastating blindside blitz sack fumble. Jaleel recovers. Mississippi responds. Jared Connor, Snoop Connor that is, the Hattiesburg star and Ole Miss commit, ties it up at 7. Here comes that defense one more time. Mississippi State commit Jarian Jones with the interception. He started Northwest Rankin. Snoop times 2. Mississippi capitalizing yet again on the Alabama turnover. So that run puts Team Mississippi up 14-7. No scores until the 4th. Stand up Tupelo, Mississippi. Rock Chalk J-Rock all the way in from 20 yards out. J-Rock puts Team Mississippi up 20-7. Tucker Barefoot would ice it with a late field goal, and Alabama scores as time expires. But Team Mississippi takes home the win 24-20, winners of back-to-back and 3 of the last 4 All-Star games. A 2,400-mile road trip for Hail State Hoops for its biggest test of the season. Undefeated to this point, the Bulldogs will face its second top 10 opponent in the month of December. Mississippi State off to play Oregon. The Bulldogs up to number 4 in the latest AP Top 25 poll, and the Ducks roll into Tuesday's contest at number 7. The matchup will feature the 2 highest scoring teams in the country. Oregon at number 1, averaging 93 points a game, and Mississippi State at 2, averaging 92 a game. Henriel Howard had a double dose of the Ducks last year while at Texas A&M, losing by 15 plus each time.
I remember that they were very fast and they came out ready to play both games that we played them. Their post players were really good. Of course, their guards were good as well. They played really well together. They all had chemistry.
Finishing at Texas, Marquette at home, at Southern Miss, at Oregon, at Washington, you're wanting to get your kids' attention. Hey, this is what's coming. This is just like the SEC play. We're just getting it 3 weeks early. Let's get ready and start preparing so that when we get back from Christmas, we know what it looks like.
Coming up tomorrow night, grab your popcorn, put on your PJs, and watch some late great basketball. Mississippi State at Oregon, 9 p.m. tip-off our time on ESPN2. It'll be a good one. Make sure you tune into that one. And then Wednesday, Troy at Ole Miss Women's Hoops, 6 p.m. inside the Pavilion on the SEC Network alternate channel. And then Thursday, Mississippi State at Washington, another tough Pac-12 test for the Dogs. Another late tip. That's at 9 p.m. And as of today, that game has not been scheduled for television, but you can count on WCBI Sports to keep you updated on the Dogs in the Wild Wild West. Mississippi State men's hoops up 1 spot in the latest AP poll, up to number 17 after that big win over Cincinnati this past weekend. The Bulldogs are back in action Wednesday against Wofford, and close out the non-conference slate with Wright State and BYU the 22nd and 29th of this month. Ole Miss men's basketball remaining perfect inside the hump Sunday thanks to an insane 28-0 second half run to sink Chattanooga. Thanks to the numbers from Ole Miss Sports Production, by the way. That's awesome. The Mocs led by 2 at halftime, but then found themselves down by 20 10 minutes later. Ole Miss, man, they've been on fire of late. 5 straight wins. That's the longest streak for the Rebels since a 7-game win streak back in 2015. So taking a look at the men's basketball schedule for this week, Wofford at Mississippi State, 7 p.m. on the SEC Network streaming service. Wofford, a 20-win team last year. They also defeated South Carolina earlier this year, so another tough test for the Bulldogs in the non-conference. Then Friday, the Kermit Davis Bowl. Ole Miss traveling to Middle Tennessee State, 7 p.m. That game's not slated for television as well. But Kermit Davis returning to his old stomping grounds facing the Blue Raiders. And then Saturday, Wright State at Mississippi State, 6 p.m. on the SEC Network. That's it for sports. We'll have a last year forecast next.
Watch out for some of that fog tonight and tomorrow morning. We should be able to get rid of that and usher in some sunshine, assuming that happens, Scott. Tomorrow up to around 60. Rain returns Wednesday afternoon and evening. More rain on Thursday. Continuing into your Friday. Can't rule out a few wet snowflakes Friday, but the weekend, last-second Christmas shopping, shaping up to be okay around here.
Yeah, very last second. It's just a few days away.
Week
All
away.
Right. Thanks, Keith. Thanks for watching, everyone. Have a good night. We'll see you tomorrow.